Hey everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel that takes on everything you ever wanted to know about narcissism, narcissistic abuse, and what these relationships do to us. If you're new to this channel, please join this magnificent community, which allows me to know that there's people out there who are getting narcissism. Just hit that subscribe button if you want to get notifications. We put out new content every day. Like I said, everything you wanted to know about narcissism and maybe some you didn't, give us a thumbs up. Also, if you like this video, and as always, we welcome your comments. Would love to hear about your comments on this topic, which is this idea of transportation rage. So let's talk about transportation rage. What made this video come to my mind, I was reading the news this morning and I was struck how much in the past few weeks, the number of articles that were about air rage, road rage, customer service rage, and all kinds of pundits and journalists and consumer and customer service experts were all sitting there in these articles trying to make sense of it, and were framing it from a stress and pandemic standpoint. Now, these issues, especially the road rage and the air rage, it's a no joke. People are literally getting killed or physically harmed, and certainly are getting psychologically harmed. A few months ago, for example, here in Orange County in California, a child was shot and killed due to a road rage incident. So this isn't just somebody flipping you off on the freeway. This is dangerous. The toll also in air rage on flight attendants and publicized cases, this has resulted in real injury, and over time is resulting in significant stress for flight attendants, airline employees, and fellow passengers. Now, I don't think this is stress. I think there's something far more nefarious at play. I am willing to take the bet from anyone that these road ragers and these air ragers, this behavior of theirs, this is not a one-off. These are not people who are just so exhausted and depleted by stress and the difficulties of these past few years that they just snapped and ran someone off the road, or shot into their car window, or punched their flight attendant for being asked to mask up, or raged at a fellow passenger. Nope. These are people who are regularly abusive people who have been raging and raging for years, probably often in private at the unfortunate people who are in their lives. But then the day comes that these people have a public meltdown, and of course everyone has a camera now. But this behavior, their ragey behavior, whether in a car or on a plane or in a train or in a bus, is nothing new for them. Lots of times people try to give these folks a pass and say, they were drunk. Nah, not so much. I'm not buying that. I have no doubt that some of these folks were drunk, but it's the personality part that results in the meltdown. If everyone who was drunk, who gets on an airplane, started a fight in an airplane, no flights would ever take off again. So nobody, once again, wants to call this out for what it is. All of this public transportation rage stuff, highway transportation rage stuff, this is what happens when narcissistic patterns hit critical societal mass. And then you have everyone wringing their hands wondering, what can we do? The world has become such a bad place. Here's the thing, gang. Given that it's narcissism, there's not much we can do. Because one of the only things that works with people who have these kinds of high conflict, antagonistic, narcissistic personalities is meaningful, and I mean meaningful penalties, really stiff fines, lifetime no-fly stipulations, long-term loss of a driver's license, in some cases imprisonment. And for those who may have employers, it may mean employers who are empowered to be able to say, nah, we don't want someone around like this working here, and then income loss as well. Narcissistic people and their impulsive behavior is largely enabled and emboldened by the world at large because more often than not, they get away with their behavior. They get lots of second chances, or whatever penalty they get is at best a mere inconvenience. And then the narcissist will try to come back afterwards and say, I didn't really mean it. I got hot-headed. The pandemic, the pressure, I'm stressed, all these new rules, whatever nonsensical excuse they come up with. I'm sorry. Nobody's pressure in life is so bad that they have to slap a passenger or hit a flight attendant or shoot into someone's car. Nobody's stress. The narcissistic folks want to have their impulsive, toddler, dangerous meltdowns. Then they're done with their little meltdown and they get their rage out and they feel just fine. And then they want everyone to conveniently forget about it. In the absence of meaningful penalties, that means they think it's okay for them to have their public meltdowns anywhere they want. It's not okay. The increasing incivility in the world is coming from lots of sources. The kind of behavior, for example, that our so-called leaders and celebrities model on social media and in the public eye, the enabling of impulsive behavior by not issuing meaningful consequences and making excuses. Yes, there are certainly societal and cultural factors that are definitely not helping. Things like corporations who, even when they get government bailouts, don't use them to enhance customer service or customer experience. They just basically, these bailouts are used to line the pockets of the C-suite occupants. Federal, state, and local governments that seem to be run by performative circus clowns rather than thoughtful leaders that actually care about a citizenry. Then we have issues like income disparity, and for a lot of Americans feeling like there's no way to get ahead. But nearly all of us are living under these circumstances, and most of us aren't trying to deliver a right hook to a flight attendant or stab the person who takes our parking spot. We have been soft pedaling on narcissism as a public issue for too long. This kind of behavior that we see that people video with their phones, it's the visible top of the iceberg for the rageful, abusive people who have been destroying the lives of everyone around them for so long. Because I care so much about this issue, I have to tell you, it's a sick hobby of mine, but I'll often do a deep dive when I read one of these air rage or road rage situations, and I do the deep dive on these perpetrators because I want to learn more about them. And it's striking to me how many of the people who do these things have existing rap sheets or complaints against them, inconsistent employment histories due to bad behavior in the workplace, domestic violence charges or restraining orders, DUIs, public disorderliness. Let's face it, this isn't their first time at the rodeo. And no, it's not because they took a sleeping pill and had one too many drinks in an airport bar. These are high conflict people who make messes anywhere that their entitlement doesn't work for them, and they get very dysregulated when they are frustrated. Most 3-year-olds in a preschool classroom have higher behavioral standards placed on them than the myriad narcissists who are out there making our roads and our skies a more dangerous place. But on another related to this, we can't forget the world of customer service. This actually extends, and what I mean here is the abuses experienced by those who do work in any form of customer service out there. These are folks who are working as frontline cashiers, clerks, servers, all of them. And in the research now are reporting an escalation in bad behavior, and management unfairly puts these frontline workers in the position of having to be enforcers of rules that get people inflamed and then puts those workers in harm's way. Again, we are talking about the customers that need the manager to be called and have no problem screaming at or actually assaulting a 20-year-old kid who's working a part-time job. These people who abuse these frontline workers are always abusers. These are not lovely, graceful people living their lives who then get angry at having to wait in a grocery line and snap. These are constantly rageful people. I challenge you right now. If you were to pause this video and go online within 5 minutes, if you scrolled a news site, you will find a news story that shares one more person going after someone who's doing the thankless job of interacting with the public. Now, my focus and my work is really centrally focused on helping survivors survive these damned narcissistic relationships. I'm also not so grandiose or stupid as to think I can change the world. I don't even think I could change one person in it. I'm always glad, though, when I hear or read about real swift and severe consequences being put on air ragers, road ragers, hotel ragers, retail ragers, and every other kind of public rage out there. But for every case we hear of where it's publicized and there may be real consequences, there are thousands of others where someone is getting away with it and it'll only be worse next time. For the survivors out there, Just having to witness this dysregulated narcissistic BS in public can really be quite triggering and uncomfortable, and a constant sad reminder of how toxic this world is. Anyone walking around in the world saying, "Oh, come on, Dr. Romani, come on, stop saying narcissism is such a big problem," I can promise you they ain't paying attention. And those who try to write these kinds of public behaviors off as a one-off drunken rant also doesn't understand narcissism. If the people making policies want to help all of us be more safe, they want to start fencing in this narcissism problem, and it is a global problem. Let's have real consequences for the impulsive, rageful, tantrum-throwing people out there. No, and I'm not talking about nonsense like 10 weeks of anger management training. I'm talking about real consequences, because the rest of us are having to live in a more and more dangerous world because of them. It really is time to make this stop. So next time you see someone out there publicly tantruming because someone took their parking spot, or someone got ahead of them in line, or they didn't like their seat on an airplane, at least you can calmly know, well, they ain't going to change. I am not engaging this. And once again, there's the narcissism in our fold. And any of you want to drop a comment. Have you witnessed these incidents or know someone who's done these things? We do know this, that really bad, dangerous driving correlated with narcissism. Big surprise, right? Thanks again, everyone.